HB5's Video Lab. This is Chapter 2. Last video I did, we focused on how to add a simple title to your video footage. Review that chapter if you're interested in learning how to do that. But today we're going to go through simple video footage editing. And again, as I mentioned last time, I'm using this program here, but there are several other programs on the market. I'm not necessarily endorsing one or the other. Many of them have similar features, so if you follow along here, even if you're not using the program I'm using, you should be able to figure it out. And again, if you've done video editing, this is not for you. This is for the very basic beginner who has never edited footage before. And again, another disclaimer, whatever footage or audio or visuals you use, make sure you have permission to use them appropriately so that you're not finding yourself violating copyright laws. So today we're just going to learn how to edit existing video footage that you've taken, either gaming, home videos, videos for yourself, your organization. So we're in this program. We went through a lot of the basic features in the first chapter on titles. But again, this is the media library, and what we're going to do is we're going to import the media files that we want. So I have a couple of video files from my gaming that I'm going to import, and they're now in the library. So you might ask, oh, it's starting to play. We don't want that to happen. You might ask why you might want to edit the video footage. It could be as simple as you started the video footage, and then whatever you're videotaping, the action doesn't start until a little bit after you start the video camera, and you want to splice off that first part where there's nothing really going on. Or if you're a gamer, or you're videotaping a sporting event or something else where you don't want all the footage, you might want to just spotlight your best moments, for example. This is how you would do it. So you click and drag to bring the video clip down to one of the tracks down here. And let's see what we have here. You can either press play here to see what you have, or you can left click and drag to kind of manually go slowly across the clip. And to make this easier, I don't know if you could hear the sound from the clip, but let me silence it. You can silence the audio clip by just unchecking this, and you can see that the audio kind of goes away while you're editing if that bothers you. So let's just say, for example, here's a scene. I don't know if it's a good scene, but let's just say I just want to take this part, maybe this next scene where I'm running out of the building and hiding behind the door, and I just want that clip out of this whole footage. I right click, this menu comes up, I hit split, and then let's see where I might want to stop, maybe at halftime. Again, I right click, split, and say I don't want this footage that came before that. I click on it so that it's blue and highlighted. I right click, remove, and you'll see a number of options here: remove and leave gap, remove and fill gap, remove, fill gap, and move all clips. Well, they're self-explanatory. If I remove and leave gap, all it will do is delete that portion of the footage that I have highlighted. If I remove and fill gap, it will delete that portion I have highlighted and move all of the remaining clips down to fill in the space. So let me click on that. You'll see what happens. See, it deleted the clip and then moved everything down. So let's say there's another clip that I want to spotlight. And maybe we'll say this clip behind the chair. I go to where I want that clip to start. I right click to highlight. I right click and split. I hit that, and then where do I want the scene to end? It's not a very exciting scene. And maybe I just want to end it there. I right click, split. And so this is the scene that I wanted. This is the first scene. I don't want this, so I click on that, highlight it, right click, remove, and I'll remove and fill gap. So bring these two, let's just assume these are my favorite clips, one right after the other. And let's see if we can find another one. I certainly like that chair. Let's say I like this portion running out of the house. Again, I right click, split, and let's see where that clip ends. Get killed. It's no good, and I'm there. Let's just say that's where I want to end that clip, excuse me. Right click, split. So this is the scene that I want. All this I don't want. These are the two earlier scenes that I selected that I want. So I'm going to tap on that, right click, remove, fill gap, and let's just get delete. You can press delete. You can highlight and also just press the delete key on your keyboard. And let's just say I brought in this second clip as well. And maybe there's stuff that I want from here to add to this video. And before I do that, let me show you this. So I have all this on one track. I can also bring this down to this track. What you'll see is the lower the track you go, that's what's going to come out on top, you know, layered. We'll get into, in later videos, some more advanced ways of manipulating. So for example, I'll just show you quickly. You could decrease this and move it around so it's overlaid on the lower clip. But I won't get into that today. We'll get into that you know, another time. Let's try to get this to the right setting. Back to where it was. So I won't get into overlaying graphics and videos on top of videos in this chapter, but let me move this back to track 1 because I want this to be one continuous track with these clips. And here I am. I guess I like playing Nuketown. So let's just say I want this next footage. I'm going to tap on that, right click, and remove. Let's say leave gap. just sometimes you might want to do that just so that you're not confused as to which clip you selected and which you didn't. Um, so where do I want this clip to end? Maybe here. Right click, split, and make sure this is highlighted. I'm just going to press delete. So I have, you could do this for as long and as much as you want. For the sake of time, I won't choose any more clips. So these are the 4 clips that I chose. And so when you start playing it, it will go from one clip to the other. And so then it jumps to the next clip. So that's how you can do some basic video editing with regards to splicing together different clips, either from the same video footage or different pieces of video footage. Now you might say that these jumps between clips are too abrupt. You have several options. Last chapter, I showed you transitions. If you go over here are transitions. At least in this program, it gives you a lot of presets. You can decide to use a transition. You can, let's take this one. Now remember, in transitions, you have to, when you drag it down, you have to make sure it covers both clips. So it's hard for me to see. Remember, if you go into this area up here, this little clock appears, you left click and drag. This does not change the length of your clips. It just zooms in essentially. But if you drag this transition, I'm going to use this transition, and you drag it so that it's over both clips. If you don't have it over both clips, you'll get kind of, it won't work right. You'll get sort of a blank look between clips. So that is that transition. Maybe we use a different one here. And you can see how this goes. And you can play around with the transitions. Sometimes the transitions might look cool, but then when you actually put them in, they don't look quite right. So, and if you click on the transition again, you can, if you make a mistake, you can delete it. You can modify it in terms of the length of the transition, for example. And I think it's up here. If you go into this area here, in the settings under editing, you can also change sort of the overall settings here. I point that out because the way, whatever program you're using, even if you're using this program, the presets might be slightly different than I have them in my program today. So that's basically how you can edit different clips together. Now, maybe you don't want a transition, so I'll click on that. I'll click on that. Maybe you just want them to crossfade. You can move one clip slightly over the other, and this menu will pop up. You can override, insert, and move all clips. You really don't want to do that for a crossfade. You want to hit crossfade, and what you'll get is this effect. So it just merges more seamlessly one over another. And then you just have to modify the subsequent clips either to bring it touching the clip before, otherwise you'll have a black space, or do the same in terms of the crossfade. You know, and the crossfades can be as long, as short as you want. You don't want them too long, otherwise, you know, it kind of looks weird. So that's the basics of editing video footage and sort of splicing together different video pieces of video together into one big video. With that said, I know that what I didn't show you in the first chapter is once you do all of your video editing, how do you actually render it so that it's in a playable format? So we'll go through that, but before we do, remember, look at my video on creating a title, because once you finish editing your video, you'll want to probably create a title. You know, I won't do it here, but as I showed you last week, you drag whatever title you want to the location, usually at the beginning of the clip since it's a title, and you would insert and move all clips, and there's your title. You click on that, double click on that, and that's how you edit the title. I won't do that today, and can do the same at the end. And again, when you add the title, you can either crossfade or you can use a transition. Be careful, because when you put your title in last after you've edited all your clips, you'll notice you can put you know, a transition in, but if you just want to crossfade, if you move this clip, then the rest of these transitions will also change. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but what I do is I just click and drag the title for the crossfade, and then you see this space here at the beginning. You don't want that. I right click and I remove and move all timeline clips after the removed gap, and that moves everything. It doesn't mess up your other editing, etc. So how do you render? Once you've edited, you've gotten everything the way you wanted, make sure when you're doing, especially when you're doing a lot of editing, that you're saving your work as you go, because the last thing you want is to do all this editing and something happens. This has happened to me before. The program crashes or something and all of your work is lost. So you go to produce. And in this program, it gives you many options. You know, you can create image sequences. You can do a number of formats. My preference, I think this is the default, this format. These, make sure you have your file extension that you want, etc. here. Down here is the export folder. There's a default for this program. I like to make sure it goes into a folder that I want it to go in. So I'll show you how I did that. I click on this here, the three dots. I find the folder I want it to go in. I type in, you know, whatever name I want here, save, and this should change to wherever you have designated, and then you just click start. And it produces. Now I will forewarn you, the longer the video and the more complicated your editing is, this can take a while. But if you're just doing like a 3-5 minute video, it really shouldn't take long, but this is the process. And once this is done, whatever folder you designated here, your clip will show up there. So that is basic editing of video footage and how to render your video editing project once you're done. Chapter 1 was on how to create a title. Next chapter, we're going to focus on photos. How do you create a film from your photos, and some really cool ways that you can overlay photos and make a really interesting video just from photography. So tune in. I hope this is helpful. Definitely give me feedback on anything you think would be helpful for me to cover. And I am going to sign out.